It's a nice early morning here in June, and trying to beat the heat today. Today we're trying to get the shifter console in, as well as the parking brake or e-brake cover with the slider insert. That's the goal. So the first thing I'm going to do is get the two main pieces in position. But before we do that, let me show you what we need to hook up to the center console. And actually this piece, the fiber optics that come from the back, could be hooked up after the center console is in position because they mount to the plate right here. Let me show you how that's wired. So you've got three fiber optics coming from the rear of the car. You've got your two signal lights and your license plate illumination light in the middle. And I've labeled these PS and DS for passenger side and driver side. You can see down here, there's this kind of notch, and that's where that part goes, which is the driver side. And this will mount, sorry for the camera, this will mount like that, right? And the fiber optics on this are kind of interesting. They're sort of far away. They push in, but you can see they end about, I mean, that's a good ½ inch. So I guess that works. All of these, the ends are clear, and all of these are gonna poke up through these holes here. And so here it says left tail lamp, license plate, and right tail lamp. Right, and then on the front, you've got your high beams, low beams, and turn signals. And those are all in this bracket, loom bracket going to the front of the car. And there's two little screw holes there. And I gotta find the screws for that, but that just goes in like that. And then the only other thing is the vintage air connector, and that's on its own loom and its own connector, and that can just plug in. And that's easy to plug in anytime. I'm gonna do it before I put this in, but because you can remove this whole center plate later or at any point. And in fact, I might just leave this out for the initial installation. But I do want to make sure it doesn't get bent or anything while I'm installing. So I may leave it in, I may pull it out anyway, but you can take this whole center plate off. So I'm going to position these things now, and we'll go from there. I'll probably take this plate out actually. All right, a couple things before we get the e-brake cover mounted. Some people were asking if there's enough room underneath this cover for all of the wiring that I have here, and the answer is yes. You can see that I think you can see there's plenty. If I hold this screwdriver, you can see that there's that whole screwdriver width from the plate to the top of the fuse block, the junction block. There's plenty of space in here. So if I take this cover off at any point, I have a lot of room to work in here. Couple things before you put this in, you want to make sure, like I put a piece of aluminum or metal, I don't know if it's aluminum, but it's that metal tape, like for HVAC applications. And I just ran a piece all the way in there because this slider is very fragile. Incidentally, the curved part goes around the backside, and there's an opening there, and you just run it around, put it around like that. But this front part here needs to slide quite a distance up in there, and you'll see when we mount it, but it probably goes like that far in. So you've got to make sure that entire path inside there is smooth and clear and free of debris and free of goopy stuff. I wouldn't put anything in there that could block that. So I put a piece of tape, one piece of tape. It should be good, hopefully, and then that's that. And then same thing, you want to make sure that it's going to run. It runs up in this channel, and it's not a great fit, to be honest. You got to make sure that you get it in the right spot, and then the front part's kind of open, but the back part, just make sure it moves freely. And I might drop a little bit of graphite in there, but I'll probably do that later. So that's how that works. Make sure that's all good. It's not the best. I feel like it's pinching there a little, so I might even, and that's probably because of how tight these nuts are here. So I'm gonna take a look at that. I felt a little tiny bit of binding right in there. You see how it's a little narrow? So maybe, just make sure that's all good to go before you mount it. Maybe a little silicone oil as well might work, but then that's going to attract dust. So anyway, get all that stuff set, and then I've got this piece, the center shifter console piece, moved forward, and the next step, as far as I know, is you're going to put this strip on this way, the cover. Then you're going to mount. You're going to thread this piece in and push it down, and then stick it back. And on this one, I've got this bolt pre-mounted in the cover, instead of trying to go in from the little tiny hole that's in this bulkhead wall. Instead of trying to go in from there, from the back with the bolt, I just put the bolt through, and then I put the nut on from the other side. It's way easier. That's a good hack. So I'll get this kind of organized, and we'll show you the next step. Okay, so we've got this cover over the e-brake handle, and now I can't show you because I got to do this with both hands, but I'm basically going to hold this up, and I'm going to feed this in as I lower this down in here. All right, so I'm going to make sure again that this is feeding into the slot. I might need to move this up and down, but I can show you right now. Look how far, when you put the e-brake forward, look how far that thing goes up. It goes way in there. So it goes back to about there, and then all the way in. So make sure it's all good. All right, let's do that. All right, I'm kind of pausing midway to show you that I just ran this up in here. And you really be careful here, because this is super fragile. It's barely hanging on there because it's only connected on one side. So now I'm going to move this back a little bit, and I'm just going to try to make sure that it stays in the slot. Now on mine, it kind of opens up towards the front, so it's hard. But when I get the bolts in, when I get the screws in the sides, it should tighten everything up and hold everything in place. So the final thing is just going to be to try to feed this part needs to go under here. So the key is to do that without breaking this. Wish me luck. All right, so I'm not quite there, but I want to show you what I had to do. So I put in the rear bolt in the hole there. So this is all the way back. And now I've raised the brake up to get this opening. And now I need to get this lip underneath and inside there. And if I do that, we're in the clear. I do want to show you that You see these two pieces of metal on the clip here? Those rest down there. So it goes all the way down. So this thing really has to go all the way down. And you want to make sure, of course, your carpet is clear, and sometimes you need to grab the carpet and make sure it's up in there. Maybe pull this thing out a little bit as you're lowering it, but you can work it down, but I have to get it down and then back. All right, I'm almost there. I just worked this under, and now you see that the cover is kind of running. Yeah, I wish it was tighter in the front there, but it's just not. So that's the way mine is aligning. I know it's a little wacky. Like this could be farther back, but you know, this is the way the pieces came together. It's not much I can do about it. So the last thing is to get these two screws in, and then actually all I really need to do right now is get this screw in, because that's going to hold both of these. This one is just extra, but I'm going to do that, and then the next step would be to get these two screws in. But let's do this first. All right, you guys, we are fully bolted in, and what I can say is this thing is so solid. I will be proud to rest my arm on it. I just put a little bit of graphite powder in here. I mean, I'm doing everything I can to make sure stuff works well, and I don't want any problems. Is it perfect? Nope. Is it good enough? Absolutely. Is it way better than it was when I got the car? It's miles better, light years better. All this was broken. Everything here was broken. So I've replaced the handle, the slider, the e-brake cover, and now let's get this back together. But again, I just want to show you how much space is in here. A couple things that I did is I created a kind of harness for the radio. So this has power and ground. It's got two, this one here does the battery and ACC power, and then this is the ground. So I can hook that up to the radio, so I don't have to get in here to do anything. And then I also added, can I find it? Let me see. Somewhere in here. Yeah, I just added an extra ground wire. So this is a ground, and if I need to ground anything, you know, in the future, I can just hook into that, and I don't have to get in here. But actually, it's pretty easy. I mean, my ground post is right there. ACC, battery power. So I'm going to put the center in, the center plate in, console, whatever it's called. So this is going to go here, and then we're going to pop this in, even though I do have a replacement coming. We're going to put this guy in right here, and then we're going to put this cover on, and then I'm going to attach the, oh no, my screws are falling out now. I'm going to attach the fiber optics. Let's go, you mothers. All right, everything's hooked up. I've just temporarily attached those side screws, but we're bolted in. It's not a final. It's just bolted in to test it. But you guys, can we just take a moment to bow our heads? Can we just bow our heads and give thanks for the end of this mother effing project right here? This, I mean, I can't tell you how much anxiety I've had and how long of a process this has been just to get this back together. If you've been following, you guys know. So, I'm just going to take a second. By the way, this is the ball that came off of the car when I got it. I don't know if it's original or not. And I need to figure out how to put this back together, because I don't know, but I'm just going to put that right there for now. Whew. All right, that's going to end this video. As always, I hope these videos are helping somebody out there. Don't do what I do necessarily. I'm not an expert, but I'm just a dude in the driveway putting together a C3 All right, thanks for watching. Give it a like if you like it. Any tips, I'm always open to helpful comments, and I'll see you guys later.